Okay, this is part 2 of circumstances, fear, and time. In my last video, I will have it linked in the description box. I suggest that you go and listen to that one first. I mentioned how one of the last examples I gave was back in 2001, I fell in love with the make and model vehicle, Lexus RX 350. I fell in love with that SUV. I wanted it. I coveted it. I dreamt about it. But in my 3D, the job that I had, I was making peanuts. It was there was no way in 3D that was possible, because I was not aware of these teachings of how the law works, how conscious creation works, how we're doing it anyway, regardless of whether or not we believe in it. It's working anyway. So a lot of us start our journeys from a place, a circumstance that we don't want. And sometimes we can't even remember, well, how the hell did I get here? I don't remember ever thinking this. I don't ever remember. I certainly did not ask for this. I didn't ask for this breakup with this person. I didn't want to be denied for a car, whatever, or denied for a home, or whatever the case may be, whatever your circumstances that is unfavorable that has led you to videos and to channels like mine. You're here because you're trying to change something that is within your 3D, and you're frustrated as hell because you can't fathom the way to get it. If you are constantly affirming, repeating, parroting back affirmations, I get this, I get everything I want, I do it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any techniques. I'm not anti-robotic affirming. If that's what works for you, great. If scripting works for you, great. If nothing works for you and you're just making a decision, or you think this is all bullshit, okay, fine. It's working anyway, even if you don't believe it. So that really doesn't matter. The only purpose of a technique is to start to get your consciousness. The only person who you have to convince here is you. That's it. That's why you don't fight with your SP. You don't fight with anyone in the 3D. You do not battle a circumstance. You have to just surrender it all and go within into your mind, into your imagination, and get in touch with Source, with I Am. It's there, whether or not you believe it or not. Then do what everyone in this community says to do. Test it. But legit test it. Don't say that you tried it and 2 days later you're back with, well, this shit doesn't work. You're only screwing yourself over, number one. Number two, how bad do you want this thing? Because if you want it bad enough, then who gives a shit if it takes more than a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months? That won't matter in the end. If you knew that you were going to get it anyway, if you knew you already had, if you already had it, that's what I love about non-dualism, which is there is no separation. You are both this and that. And I touched on this in my last video, which again, linked below. I urge you to go and listen to that first or after this, doesn't matter. But we get so obsessed with time. And I understand, guys, I understand, especially if you want to marry your specific person, you want to start a family with them, you think that you're running out of time for that. I'm telling you, quit focusing on the time, on the when, on the how it would ever happen, on the fact that, SP is now with a 3P and she's having a baby. Stop focusing there. Stop putting your awareness there. That's not what you want, right? So why would you do that to yourself? You're inflicting torture on yourself. Believe me, I've lost an SP. I've manifested them back too, until I no longer wanted that SP. And then I've moved on, and It's always up to you, and you can change your mind. That's perfectly fine. That's acceptable. It's okay. This is all between you and yourself. That's it. There's no explanation, no justification needed. You don't need validation from your 3D. You don't need validation from a coach. You don't need anybody telling you that you're doing it right. Make the decision and stick to that decision. I'm doing it right. Even if my human eyeballs cannot perceive my desire in material form in my 3D yet is a very great word. It's a wonderful word to start to incorporate into your manifestation practice, into where you're directing your awareness. Because when fear, and I touched on fear in my last video, I called it, it's like a devil wearing a court jester hat with the freaking bells on the end. Ha ha ha, I'm trying to keep you safe. I'm trying to keep you safe. Thank you for that, but I don't need you to keep me safe if all I'm doing is imagining what I would prefer. But that'll never happen. If I'm just imagining, who gives a shit? Stop it. Go play somewhere else. I'm not gonna feed into this. And you laugh at it. Laughter is the best thing you can do to fear. Oh yeah? You think you got me? Silly little bitch. That's how you have to start handling your fear, your doubts, your worries, your insecurities. Start laughing at it. But no, we get sucked in. It's so, the 3D is such a convincing illusion. It's such a convincing mirror that when it comes down to it, and I've had my days, I've had my moments. I've had a hell of a time, even as recently as the last 7 days. My world completely changed. And I had my very human moment. Was I perfect all of the time? No. Did I fall out of my most beneficial state? Yes. Did I forget temporarily who I was? Yes. But did I return to it, to my decision to be who I say that I am? Absolutely, 100%. So I give the circumstance. Any Matrix fans out there? I love television, obviously. My last video had a Friends reference. Any Matrix fans? Remember when Neo gets arrested in the original Matrix and Anderson takes him in for questioning? And he says, how about I give you the finger and you give me my phone call? That's how you have to treat 3D. That's how you treat any circumstance. How about I give you the finger and I go back to my imagination, because consciousness is the only reality. I go back into my imagination and I continue to put my awareness, my God-given power there where I want it, and on the outcome that I prefer, that I desire. I don't give a damn what it looks like out here. I don't care what 3D is saying. I don't care if your SP has 10 3Ps. I hope not. That sucks. I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat everything and say, oh yeah, well, you know, but they can still be yours. Absolutely, they can still be yours. Those SPs, you know, could be cousins or whatever. You get what I'm saying, right? It's where you put your awareness. What about if, you know, yeah, SP might be with a 3P, but I'm the one that they really loved. I'm the one that they can't get out of their heads. It's to the point where I'm living rent-free up in there. They can't stop thinking about me. In fact, they're trying to go out with all these 3Ps, and the 3Ps are never going to be, they ain't ever going to be me. It's never going to be me. In fact, SP kind of finds that annoying, and I think that's so adorable. See how you start to laugh at the situation? Anyway, back to 2001, my Lexus RX 350. Guess what, you guys? Guess what kind of car I drive now? It took me a long AF time to get that Lexus, but got it I did. Got it I did. And I've owned that truck now for a few years. It's great. I love it, just like I knew that I would. Is it the perfect exact what you call it? Is it the perfect exact year that I wanted? No, not necessarily, but who says that that's going to be my only RX 350? It is my first one, but I love it so much that I intend to continue to replace my vehicles with the same make and model, go upgrading them over time, unless I change my mind and decide, no, I'd rather have, I don't fucking know, excuse me, an Acura RDX, for example. That's another car that I like. I like SUVs. You know, if you don't, cool. Choose a car that you do like. It makes no difference. You're the individual consciousness having the desire because God, source, universe, higher power, whatever you wish to call it, energy, the universe, wants to experience, wants to have that expression as you. That's why you have the desire. The desire comes from God. It comes from I am. We are born into these human meat suits to forget who we are, to eventually remember our power and reshape our world to become a paradise on this spinning rock that we call Earth. That's what we're here really to do. If you believe in something else, that's cool. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm only sharing what I have learned, what I finally got solid, a solid grasp on within my own mind, because I kept fighting it for many, many years. I wasted a lot of 3D time, which is how I refer to it now as 3D time, because time is an illusion. I touched on this in my last video. Time is an illusion. The only moment that matters is now. And when you are recalling something, it is a memory. Even if you are planning something in the future, the perceived future, that is still a memory. But when it comes time, for instance, when I was younger, I used to enjoy going to parties, birthday parties. I used to be very social when I was younger. And when I knew that the party was getting closer, you have that excitement, or a vacation. You get that excitement about where you're going. Especially if it's a place that you've already been to before, then you're familiar with that. And so you start to get excited about what it is that you're going to do when you get to your location. But let's say that it is a place that you've never been to, but you've visited the place online. You've, Googled it, looked at pictures, maybe you've searched for the place and the things to do there on YouTube. Somebody's got like a travel video or whatever on it. And so you start to imagine with your consciousness, with your awareness, your imagination, you start to think about that location, that place. What would it be like? And when I get there, I'm going to do this. And you start making the plans about what you're going to do once you get there, once you arrive there. But you already know that you're going. You bought the ticket. You're going to take the ride, right? There's nothing stopping you from going there in your imagination. And as a matter of fact, the closer that it gets to the event happening in your 3D, solidifying into matter, so that you have that experience, so that consciousness, can then express itself through you, through your desires. I'm sorry, I have a complete brain fart right now. I forgot where I was going, but I think that you know where I was going. I got a lot on my mind, guys. So In any case, this may or may not be edited out. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I'm a human being. I'm not AI. I'm not a robot. You're not going to get perfect on this channel because I'm still a human being who sometimes likes to cuss. That's okay. But I think you understand what I'm saying is that when you're looking towards something, and the closer that it gets to that event in the future, you've been imagining it over and over and over. And then once you actually have that experience, once it materializes into your matter, into your 3D, it may be very similar, yes, to what you've experienced. It may be better. There might be some parts of it that I didn't really like this or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all very, very personal to you. There is no right or wrong here or whatever. But see, that's what I'm saying to you guys. That's what I'm trying to explain, to convey to you, is that before you went in your physical body, your consciousness was already occupying that state, the state of the person who's on vacation traveling to wherever it is that you will be traveling to. You've already taken that trip. That's why that very famous story about Neville hounding Abdullah about, Ab, how can you tell me that I'm in Barbados when I'm here in New York City? And Abdullah got so pissed off at Neville that he slammed the door in his face. How could you talk about going to Barbados when you already went to Barbados and you went first class? God calls those things that are not as though they were. So guess what happens? They have to materialize. It's spiritual law. You cannot go up a 20-story building, okay, and drop a feather. You hold out. You're in a balcony, right? You're standing with your arm extended out, and you drop a feather. You let go of a feather that you're holding in your hand. Is that feather going to rise up, or is it gonna fall down towards the ground? Even if it sways a little bit, because a feather weighs nothing, right? But eventually that feather, whenever it stops moving, it's going to end up in the ground. It's not going to end up in the clouds. Why is that? Because of gravity. This law works in the same way. You can't see it. It doesn't mean it's not working. The only time that a manifestation doesn't work, the only time that you perceive a manifestation failure is when you decide that it didn't work. When you decide to listen to your fear, to listen to your doubts, instead of laughing it off, instead of telling it to take a hike because that's not where you want to go in consciousness, which you have the right to do, and you start following those places that you don't want to be in anymore, you're that powerful. I Am says, yeah, boss, sure. Here's some more experiences to prove you right, to prove to you that where I am, you will be also. It's always going to work that way, no matter what the desire is, whether it is a specific person, whether it is money, whether it is health, whether it is having a baby. Quit focusing on all the 3D shite that's out there that tells you that you can't have something, that you can't be, do, or have something, because it's not true. That's an assumption also. Everything is an assumption. Quit blindly accepting bare assumptions. Stop it immediately. They're not serving you. They've never served you. If you look back in your life and be 1,000% honest and authentic with yourself, they have not served you, never have served you. They got you here. But why are you here then? Well, because I don't have my person. Okay, congratulations. Then you're the version of yourself who doesn't have their person. How can I say that I have a person when I don't have them and they told me to fuck off? I don't care what they said to you. It doesn't matter. People change their minds all the time. Oh, but this person blocked me and I don't have their number. Ever heard of Google? Ever heard of locating somebody? Hell, ever heard of a detective? Let's go really back in the day before the internet existed. How do you think people found other people back in the day? They'd hire a private investigator, right? Well, you can't find anybody that doesn't want to be found. Oh, yes, you can. But that's an assumption too, see? It's all assumptions. We live in an assumptive world. And it is a world that is waiting for you, the individual point of consciousness, to give it a directive. It is always waiting on you. Another one of Neville's lectures I recommend that you listen to is At Your Command, that the world is at your command. I know it sounds completely crazy. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't, because it does take a while to sink in. But the funny thing is that every human mind can learn anything, no matter how difficult or unrealistic. This is lunacy. No matter how, whatever, fill in the blank with whatever adjective you prefer. It seems with enough repetition, you will get it. It will become as natural and normal as breathing, as natural and normal as going to sleep when you're tired. Your body is so worn out from the day that you fall into bed and your head hits the pillow and you're out. In seconds, you're out. It's natural. You didn't have to do anything. It was instant, practically. Start treating manifestation like that. You're not doing it to get anything. The getting is the byproduct because you're already occupying the identity of the person who has it. So reality has no choice but to prove you right and give it to you, no matter what that is. It doesn't matter if it's a person. It doesn't matter if it's money. It doesn't matter if it's health. Anything that you want. To he who has, more shall be given. To him who has not, even that was given shall be taken away. You cannot serve two masters. The story about the wolves, the parable, whatever it was about the wolves, you have a good wolf and a bad wolf. Which wolf wins? The one you feed. I can tell you a bunch of different examples, but until you start to grasp the very basic fundamentals and how reality, how conscious creation works, how reality isn't something that is happening to us. Your specific person was never trying to hurt you. They were never trying to break your heart deliberately. You occupied a state where you felt not good enough for that individual. For whatever reason, no judgment. You fell out of a beneficial state because you already, especially if it's a former lover, ex, whatever, you already had that person once. But you broke up because at some point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter to dwell on what it was exactly. Where was the point that I shifted, or where? That doesn't matter unless you no longer care about this person, in which case you can actually use that example, that circumstance from your past, you can bring it into your awareness and do like a case study on it and study it from all angles. Well, this happened and whatever, and try to leave the judgment behind. It won't work if it's an ex that you're still holding on to anger issues with, or you're pissed off at, whatever, that you have like more of an explosive emotional history. Then don't use that person. Maybe use someone that you're neutral about, you don't have any good or bad feelings about. That's fine. But study it. Study it like if you're studying for an exam. Look at it from all angles. Okay, who were you being? Who were you being? Think of the best time you had with that person. How were you feeling about you in that moment, in that relationship? Okay? How were they treating you? That's another big thing. Because even someone who absolutely adores you, you will inadvertently push them away. Please don't feel bad. If you're listening to these words and you're feeling guilty and ashamed about what, please do not do that to yourself, because once again, that's where you're also directing your consciousness, okay? Forgive yourself, forgive them, drop the old story. That happened to her, that other version of me. I'm a she, her. But that's not me anymore. I am this person instead. Reality will reflect. Your specific person will reflect the change because they're mirroring you. And they think it's their, whenever you're thinking about them in a specific way, they're thinking those same thoughts or along those same lines. Which is why when you're having mental arguments with anyone, whether it's a specific person, boss, coworker, family member, anybody, you start to experience things in your reality where this person just continues to drive you freaking batshit crazy. And you're tired of, you wish that they would get another job, or you want to look for another job, or what. That's also happened to me. So if it's happened to me, I know it's happened to plenty of other people, because everyone is you pushed out, because there is no separation. Think about us as people, as the individual points of consciousness, as we are all interconnected by an invisible seam of consciousness, because the absolute would not be the absolute if there was any separation. It gave the illusion, the appearance of separation by creating the human. That's why we're in the meat suits too, so that I can have an experience of being a woman, so that I'm into men, so that my specific person can have the experience of being a man. And when we come together, yes, it's male, female, or whatever you prefer. I don't care. Whatever you like, female, female, male, male, polyamorous relationships, that is entirely up to you. You are coming together, and it is God expressing that through you and your partner or partners. It's God having that experience through you. I know there might be some person out there who's like, oh, that sounds effing blasphemous. Then don't watch this channel, okay? You are not my target audience then. Namaste. So that's all that I have for you today. I promise to come back very soon. Like I said, I've had a bit of a rough week, and that is why my channel has been rather quiet. But stick around. I hope you'll join me, and I'll talk to you again soon.